Good morning. Hope you can hear. This morning, I'm going to be starting to work on the feet. I'll move this over so you get a better view of my turntable. And I have a picture here that shows approximately where I want the feet to go. And I use my measuring tools to determine the distance from certain points. So let's see if I can show that. If I want to be accurate, I have my calipers and I measure from a point I made here to a point approximately where that back volume will go of the leg. You can see that. Like that. And then, it's hard to show. You can see it here. And then I take another measurement. It's hard to show in this lighting. And then determine where the front of that leg will start. And if you can't see it clearly, these patterns are available. I have a pattern book available on this Barnell on learnsculpture.org if you would like to follow along. So I'll just get started, and if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them while I'm working. So we'll be doing this for about 15 minutes, and then I'll turn off the video and continue working a little bit. And our next video will be Friday. So I'm going to follow my diagram and position that leg where I wanted it. I'm trying to create an accurate depiction of a Barnell. And so I created the plans so that I wouldn't veer off course. But if you want to be creative, that's great. It's just that it's really nice to learn the discipline of sculpture with a plan that you can actually follow. And you'll achieve a lot by doing that because you'll learn the technique required to get it right or to achieve your vision. Let's put it that way. Suppose you have a different vision of what a Barnell could represent or look like, but to be able to do the plan that you put forth in the first place gives you a discipline and training so that you really have control of your tools and your medium. So I can vary from it or veer off course if I want to, but at first I want to be able to follow my plan so I can master my subject, and then I can go on to be creative with it. At least that's my philosophy. I think when you achieve a level of discipline by following your plan, you learn so much in the process that improves your skill. Just cleaning up the crumbs as I go a little bit here. And then I have some warm clay, and I have a crock pot down below my feet where I keep the clay warm because this is a oil-based clay and it gets very, very hard. And it's great for keeping the detail once you get down to the critical detail parts. So right now, it's almost like I'm drawing on the clay to get the detail, or rather to get the main forms in place before I do the detail. Take a big piece off there, if you can see that. Need a close-up. See if anybody's on. Not yet. I'm just removing some big parts of the clay that I don't need. I know there's a lot of volume there that I don't need. But as you can see, this is going to be cut away down here, yet still hold up this heavy form. And that's another reason for using this very hard clay. It's almost like a stone sculpture, so it's self-supporting and I don't need armature with it. It gives it a lot of strength. I'll get that shaved down there without taking off where I want to keep it. Okay. It's very hard right now because I'm in a cooler environment. I'm out here where it was 25 degrees last night. Just shaving down that part I know I'm not going to need. I'm going to cut off a part here that is sticking out. Because the leg bones are actually very straight. They, you don't want the legs going this way or that way. You want a straight form, almost like a cylinder, just going right down into the base at first. And I'll add the feet. I'll carve them into the base. All right. Getting that shaved down here. You can see the front of the sculpture guide. It has all the different views of the project I'm doing now. And I created these drawings so that we could have a life-size pattern to follow for the Barnell design. Hi, Sue. I don't work in stoneware. For years and years as a professional sculptor, she asks if we would hollow the sculpture. That because this is oil-based clay, this is modeling clay. It doesn't work like ceramic clay, like stoneware or porcelain clay, or any of the kinds of clay that you need to fire. So you don't hollow this. This is designed so that you can make a mold on it, and then from that mold you can cast it in resin or plaster, and then from there you can go to another mold if you want to refine the shapes even further in plaster. So this technique isn't really a ceramic technique. This is clay. Let me just make sure of your question. Yeah, you just never hollow out your clay model if it's oil-based clay. It's just designed to be molded after you get your exact shape. And the great thing about that is you can reuse this clay. It doesn't harden. So it's very practical. I'm using right now an oil-based clay made by Chevant, which is a company that's over 100 years old, based in New Jersey. And they made modeling clays for the car industry. That's how they kind of gained their fame. Cars would be full size in modeling clay before they would go to the next level and tool it to make a real car. So, it's essential when you have something, especially I think a big project. Imagine trying to make a monument or even a semi-life-size something in a clay that you need to fire. You can't even get it in the kiln. So modeling clay is the professional solution to sculpture that you want to turn into bronze or resin. And I worked for the gift and collectible industry for many years. And we always had to use modeling clay. And we would turn our projects in. We had assignments and you had to turn projects in, and they would make a mold on that, then give you back the plasters off. And in the days of porcelain, we had to get the plasters back and then cut them up so that individual molds that could draw off would be made on those plaster pieces. So there's a whole process involved with that. But basically what I'm doing is what I've done, I did in my 30-year career as a sculptor in the gift industry. You simply use modeling clay, oil-based modeling clay, and all the processing, the mold on it, everything is done from the finished modeling clay. So, and you don't, it's not going to harden, it's not going to crack. I have a crock pot with the very warm clay here. So this is very hard. I'm out here where it's maybe 60 degrees out here right now. But my clay, and ouch, in my, it got warm. My clay in my crock pot is extremely soft, as you're going to see here. I'll show you. See it just like putty. And if I want to do additive work, I can just, use my clay. And you can melt this. You can melt this clay, pour it into a mold if you have a mold. It's amazing what you can do. And then say you have a mold like of a face, a half a face. You can melt that clay, pour it in, turn it out when it cools, turn another one out. And it's still oil-based clay that you can rework and remelt. So it gives you lots of flexibility that way. But anyway, I wanted to work on this leg area. I'm going to use a riffler tool, this is a tool I was talking about yesterday. It has little tiny cuts. Like you can't see them from the video, but it's like a rasp, like a wood tool almost, like a little tiny cross cuts there. And it's really nice for getting these forms smoothed out where you can see what you're doing. If you have too much choppiness, it's hard to see your forms. Just getting that leg established, and I'll cut in on that. I'll keep looking at my pattern as I go, and I'll cut in on that leg till it's just right. And again, just to show you what I've done, I put that X there, and I measured from where the back of the leg begins. Oops, not quite big enough here. Not quite yet. Let's open it a little bit. It's hard to see in this. I'm going to have to adjust my lighting so you can better see this for my next video. But so I have this point, and I have that end, and that's where the back of that leg starts, right there. So that's how I establish that. And then where's the front of the leg? Again, I go up to my X. Can you see that okay? And I find the front of that leg. And I go from here, and I find where it's going to end up. And I make a mark down here. So now I know exactly where that leg should go if I want this to look proportionate. And it's really interesting because without this pattern, it's very hard not to veer off course. I mean, like I say in another video, your perceptions are very elastic. Like, the more you look at something, the more you don't see it. That sounds weird, but it's true. So if you want to gain confidence as a sculptor, this is a wonderful way to do it because you have a roadmap. I got cool already, so I'll put that back. Some more clay. See, I just have my clay stuck in little pockets, and it's like this is very, very soft. Actually, I think I'll put it back till I need it right there. So I'll be working on today getting, if you can see, the feet. And I've got the other side. And again, you can get this guide at learnsculpture.org. See, the other side kind of gives less detail at this point because I want to be able to just kind of work it in so it looks realistic. And then I'll measure again from this side. I'll, do the same thing with the back view. I've got my little X marks the spot, and this is going to be further down. So I've got right about where that's going to start on that side. the front view will kind of come into play as I get those dimensions correct. And then I can start to look at some of my pictures on the wall. Let me show you those pictures that I work from. See all my pictures. And in fact, I brought one down. I print these out on I have a wide format printer. See the feet and the different angles. And a lot of these pictures I get by stopping a video. Like I'll look at YouTube and I'll stop the video right where I want that view. And that gives me like a zillion pictures I can get out of one video. So it's nice to choose a subject where you have access to a lot of video because you're not stuck with just the pictures you can find. And right now, I don't really need, like, for example, these feet pictures. I don't really need to go, oh gosh, I've got to do all those little toes. Not at this point. And you know, my main design has the feet right there. And I can vary that, but the dimensions, the proportions, that's what I don't want to vary. I want to make sure I stay on the project and not go off track. It's so easy to go off track. And when you see, I said this in other videos, when you see sculptures and you go, well, it's so well detailed and it's beautifully rendered, but something's wrong, you know, the head's too big, or it's because of the lack of measuring. If you want to see a sculpture with great proportions, it's really essential that you use this measuring technique. And eventually you can, as you get better and better, you can see more and more, but you still need to go back and refer to your source material. Whether you have a live model, which is great, then you can measure, but a lot of stuff, like I don't happen to have a bar now. So I have to get some pictures. But what we're going to do next, we're going to work on after this is done, and this might take a few more sessions. I just work for this 15-minute period and then maybe a little bit more during the day, but I have so much to do. But we're going to do an iguana next. I've had numerous requests for a lizard, and then people kind of nailed it down to wanting an iguana. So that's what I'll be doing. So that'll be more fun. We still want to be accurate with the proportions, but you can kind of go crazy because they have a lot of texture. And I have not seen a single iguana that looks like exactly like another iguana, which I guess you can be a little creative when that's true. So I guess I'll sign off for today. And if you have any other questions, just write in the comments later. This will be online, and we'll see everyone on Hi Gold Rush. I'm leaving now. Oh my goodness. But I'll be back on Friday morning with more progress. So take a look at this video and I'll be back. So I'll have to sign off for now. Bye-bye.